Hello, my name is Daniela Levy, and this will be a YouTube channel that mostly focuses on Hasidut and subjects in Judaism that I'll try to explain as much as I can, and hopefully people will like it. So today I want to speak about a part that is the holiday that is called Yud Bet Tammuz. It's a Chabad holiday. And what happened on Yud Bet Tammuz is the following. There was in Chabad there are seven rebbes, like rebbeim, and each one had his own agenda. And the sixth one, he's called Rebbe Arayatz, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak. He lived from 1880 to 1950. And he lived in Soviet Russia. It was not allowed to spread Judaism and to spread Hasidut in particular. And what he did was he really gave it all out. He really went with Mesirut Nefesh. That's how it's called in Hebrew. It's really to go all the way, just to sacrifice yourself for the goal. So he would send out people to do it like quietly and hiding and stuff like that. And at 1927, he was caught by the Russian government and was sentenced to death. That happened at the 17th or the 13th of Sivan, I'm not sure. And then at about 20 days later, so they told him his sentence is death. And at the 3rd of Tammuz, about 20 days later, they converted the sentence to just to go to a different city, just not live in the same, like exile, basically. And 10 days later, on Yud Bet Tammuz, 9 days later at Yud Bet Tammuz, they told him that he's released. And since it was Saturday, Shabbat, he couldn't sign his release papers and stuff. So he said he won't be released today. He'd rather wait till Sunday so he can sign everything and get out. So on Sunday, they made him sign like a thing that says that it wasn't their fault that they sent him one day late. So they won't be responsible for that. So just to see the change from death sentence to being afraid and panicked about just sign this that we're not responsible. There was a very big change that happened there. So I would like to read something from the Sikha of the Rebbe. It's like something the Rebbe said, the Rebbe that was now the seventh Rebbe, everybody knows him by the Rabbi Milubavitch. So he says a Sikha about this part, about Yud Bet Yud Gimel Tammuz. That's the date that he got released. So the Rebbe Arayatz, the one before, the one that got released, said that this day, not only he was redeemed, was released, it was for every person that keeps Torah and mitzvahs, and also for anyone that is even called a Jew. And to understand that seems like a little bit off, Chas v'shalom, right? But it seems like that has nothing to do with me. Like it happened like 80, 93 years ago. That's a long time, and I wasn't born, or not my parents were born there. It's not, how is it connected to me? So the Rebbe talks about that, and he talks about the part that is really connected to us. So to begin, he starts with a story that happened then, and the story is one time when they were called the Gepeo. That's their name. So when they brought him to jail, they needed to bring to take a picture of him and just hang it on the wall. And so they didn't manage to do it before he went into his cell. Excuse me. And so what they did is they waited, and when he was settled in his cell, they came with a camera and wanted to take a picture. So it was Saturday again. So it was about like the middle of the day. And the Rebbe Arayatz was still praying. So he had his talis, his talit, like it's like a cloth that we wear during prayers. So he had it on his face, covering his face. So they saw that and they just went away and came back later. So after about an hour and a half, they came back and they saw that his talis didn't cover his face. So, but the Rebbe saw them, and he was still praying. So he just did with his hand, like, not now. I can't do it right now. And they got scared and just left. And after a while, about another a good hour or so, so they came back, and this time he finished praying, and he told him. Now he told them that it's Saturday and he can't get a picture on Saturday. So when they heard what he said, they just got up and left, and they postponed the taking of the picture to another time. Now this kind of thing it's just unfathomable by thinking about it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, any logic. Like, these people, what they put him in jail for is because he was a rabbi that puts on a talis. That's why they put him there. That's why he went to jail. That's the only reason, is because he spread Judaism, which is exactly that. So they go into his cell and they see him covered with a talis. What makes sense is to just rip it apart and just say, yeah, stand and let's take a picture of you. You're in jail. You're not on a vacation. Something like that. But what happened, they left. They obeyed what he said. That doesn't make any sense. And it's not like he's sitting in the middle of a synagogue or in Jerusalem or something like that. He's sitting in their jail. It's a Gepel jail. It's a Russian jail. It's not like a resort. It doesn't make any sense. What? It's just weird. So how can we explain it? So the Rebbe says that there is a very basic thing about this world that it might take a little explaining. So I'll try, at least for just a little. There is, each and every Jew has a godly soul. Now, the explanation of a godly soul is basically just a piece of God. It's really just a piece of God, just installed inside a person. And there's a whole explanation that it's not like just like something that it's like a ambassador or something like that. It's really a piece of him. And just mathematically speaking, when you take a piece of infinity, you actually have infinity. So when you catch a piece of God, you really have everything there. It's not like a small God and a big God. Everything is connected. So every Jew has a godly soul. That's what it says. And a lot of time we talk about, let's say, there's this notion that because we live in the world, there's a whole big, like, philosophers talked about it a lot, about the subject of, let's say, free will, right? So if we're in this world and every single thing that happens in this world affects us, so that basically means we don't really have free will, because, well, if an event happens and it affects me in a certain way, so there's not really a choice for me. It's just, that's what happened. There's not really something I can do. And it's also our upbringing and then education and all that. Those are things that affect us. So how could you say we have free will? So that is true. That is completely true. Under the notion that we and the world are the same. We are part of the world, and there's this whole big thing that affects us. But when we think about the part that we have a godly soul, which is above the world because God created the world, and we are more connected to the Creator than to the creation. So we are above the world. We are more of a creator. So even when things affect us, it's because we kind of let it affect us. It's because we believe it's able to affect us. We live in a world for a very long time, and everything we're taught and the nature shows us that we are affected. And that makes sense. We are born in this world. But there is a difference, because we have a piece of a creator, and creator isn't limited by his creation. That's why when we are in this world, we can change our behavior. So there's a whole process about, like, it's a lot of religions practice that part, that to really bring yourself into just to a minimal existence. So bring your ego down as much as you can. That's also a notion that people work on a lot, because when you don't have such an ego, so you let nature flow through you, God flow through you, you let something bigger flow through you. So in Judaism, it's more of not only just limit the ego so God will flow through you. God is already there. Just let him do his thing. So that's why when he's talking about the Rebbe Arayatz, what he did was he gave everything towards the goal, towards God. And that's why he was limited. He limited his own ego very much, and he let God like really shine through him. So when the GPO people came, what they saw was a piece of God. It was just a piece of God. There's not really too much to argue with that kind of thing. So that's why when they came, they didn't really have a lot to do. They just left. They didn't feel like there's something they can really do. At the end of all the games and things, that's the basic thing. That's the base of the world is God and the Creator. So that's why they weren't even confused. They weren't like they didn't know what to do. They just left because there's not really a lot to do. And that's why the Rebbe Arayatz says that Yud Bet Yud Gimel Tammuz is a date that connects to all of us. It's not all because the peace of God that is inside of each and every one of us is not something that's limited to someone that learns Torah or does mitzvahs. It's not. Every Jew, no matter where he is or what he does, has a piece of God, has this godly soul. So no matter where you are, no matter where and how and what you do, still you have this godly soul. So that's what Yud Bet Yud Gimel Tammuz kind of teaches us, that we shouldn't be so concerned and so afraid of things that we see, like the things that limit us or things that are just bothersome on our way, that are challenges, and just to know that we need to pass these things, not because it's like this is a really big thing and I need to like pass it. It's more of a thing that I am a part of God. I am a part of the Creator more than the creation. So I'm above this. I'm way above this. So it's more of a change of thinking. It's more of a change in our mind more than it's in action, actually. So that's what Yud Bet Yud Gimel Tammuz comes to show us. Rebbe Arayatz was in jail by the Russians, and still when he went with his way till the end, they actually just left him alone, and eventually they released him, which was, it wasn't normal at all. Usually who went there was either ended at Siberia or dead. That was usually the course of stuff. So that's what Yud Bet Yud Gimel Tammuz comes to show us, and it shows that when we practice this part, that treating our nature, not only the nature of the world, our nature, our ego, our desires, with the same way, that you're not, it's not really real. It's something that is more here that can challenge me, but it's something for me to make better. That's why I have those things. That's why I have an ego. That's why we have a world with lots of challenges and everything, because we're supposed to be here to make everything better. That's our goal. That's our mission. So when we treat our body and our ego and our mind with the same way, so that lets us really overcome those obstacles. So on the second part, the Rebbe explains a notion that is he brings an example to the part of how can we change our own nature. So it is said at the Gemara that a rabbi called Alexandri went down the road and said, "Who wants life? Who wants life?" And everybody gathered around and said, "Yeah, we want. Just give us life. Sure. What are you talking about?" So he said, "There's a pasuk, like a sentence in Psalms that says, Who is the person that wants life? Keep your tongue from bad things, avoid bad and do good, and so you'd have more life." So that was a story that happened in the Gemara, and from that it says that from every bad thing is eventually connected in some weird, maybe twisted way to a good thing. It came from that. So from that, someone selling life came the thing that people sell life insurance, which is kind of the difference. Instead of going around and saying, "Who wants life? Who wants life?" people just go and just say the opposite, that you should really take care of what's going to happen after our 120 years on Earth. You should really take care of your children, and when you die, and you should buy a policy for your life insurance, and just you need to give like a little sum every year, and the life insurance company would take care of you. And we get those calls like every 2 days, really. Like another life insurance agent calls us again and again, and like, listen, we're not gonna live forever, and it's like, why? So that's the question that is asked. Like this kind of a job is really hard. It goes against logic. It's to talk to someone about something that's gonna happen after he dies. Why not talk with him about something happy? Just, I don't know, just let's talk about bunnies and sunshine. Why talk about death? So the thing is, what's really the difference? It's just he needs money. That's basically it, right? The person that sells life insurance, he's not here for anything else but money. He's not really into it. He's not really like excited about death. He needs the money, so he needs to sell more policies this month or this year than before. There was like one time someone came to the Rebbe Rashab, like the fifth of Chabad, and said that he wants to take care of after he's gone, that some of his money would go to charity and stuff like that, so his next world would be higher. So the Rebbe Rashab told him, listen, why take care of later? Take care of now. So do it now. Just do things now. Why wait? Why take care of a world that we can't see yet? Even take care of this world. Make this world better. So why does this person, the life insurance agent, sell life insurance? It's only because he needs money. Unless he needed the money, he wouldn't go to people and just say, okay, listen, you need to buy a policy. You need to take care of yourself. It's not. It's even if he had the sales talent to go around and sell, like a person that can sell ice to an Eskimo and can sell a cone to a ball guy. These kind of things, that it's cool and everything, but to sell someone something that isn't even in this world, like you dying, basically, it's not something recommended. Nobody likes doing that. So why does he try to do that? Because he needs the money. And the truth is, the life insurance company and the customers, both, they want the customer to live long. The life insurance the customer obviously wants to live long, but like the life insurance company wants you to live long because, first of all, you pay more. If you live 20 years, you pay 20 payments. That's not a lot. But if you live 90 years, then yeah, that's 90 payments. That's much better. Also, when someone dies, they are the ones that need to pay. So they're not excited about people dying. Obviously, they're satisfied when everybody are alive and healthy. So why do they talk about death? It's just something that they need to say for you to pay the last dimes that they need. So basically, they just need you to pay, but they're not excited about someone dying. So the Rebbe takes this and compares it to the godly soul and our ego, how we work on our ego. In a lot of religions, and even in Judaism, there's this notion that people like to talk about, like going to hell and heaven and what's going to happen after we die and stuff. And sometimes it's so meaningless. It's like, I get it. Okay, I'm going to go to heaven. I'm going to go to hell. Who cares? I'm right now living here. Why should that be the main focus? And people kind of lost their way with that. It's like people sacrifice being nice here, not even their own pleasures. It's sacrificing their own personalities and being nice and making this world better to something that is not here, not even real in our terms. In our terms, it's not real. It's not something you can touch. It's something totally like abstract. So why sacrifice so much for hell and heaven when it's not even here? Why not make this world better? So the Rebbe says there are two really ways that split in Judaism about how to treat your ego. One way is to really kill your ego. It's to remind every day that we are gonna die, and not only remind your ego that he's gonna die, but actually kill him a little bit every day. It's like people who like to suffer and to really to there are people that fast, there are people that you tell them like let's go, I don't know, like let's go on a trip. No, that's bad. You shouldn't waste time. And that's just why. But that's their thing. They want to kill their ego. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're practicing. The second way is just once in a very long while, just to remind the ego and the animal soul. It's basically the ego. Maybe another time we'll explain about the animal soul and the ego. But to remind the ego that our life is short. And it's not because hell is waiting on the other side. It's more about, it's just, let's do stuff where we don't have, there's a clock ticking. So let's just speed things up, okay? That's just reminding the ego that enjoying life just without consequences and without thinking 3 steps ahead, that's a bit dangerous. But it's not about killing the soul. It's totally the opposite. It's to remind the soul once in a while that we are one day going to die, and it's only at very special occasions, like there's something called Tikkun Chatzot. It's praying at night in a very specific kind of prayer, which is thinking and really calculating what was this day, what was today, what did I do today, where did I go ahead, where did I really make myself better, and where wasn't I so perfect. So there is sometimes to remind the soul that listen, our life is short, so let's do it now. But that's not a recommended method. The recommended method there in the Gemara, it says like first practice Torah, then do Kriyat Shema, which is say Shema Yisrael. Only after a lot of stuff, only then just remind your soul, your ego, that we are going to die one day. But that shouldn't be something you focus on. And no matter what, obviously it's not to hurt the body. It's exactly the opposite. It's to take care of your body as much as you can and enjoy life, and obviously under limits. Even the enjoyment of life is better under limits, but it is to enjoy life. God isn't waiting for us in hell with like a big bat and just waiting for us to come and he's like, boil the pots. It's not. He's not a bad guy. It's not, that's for sure not the way it is. And the Maggid Mimezrich, the Maggid Mimezrich was one before Chabad that really started stuff. He said something that when there's a small hole in the body, there's a big hole done in the soul. Because our body is one of the most important stuff. The godly soul was way before the body was created. It was good. It didn't need to go down to earth and just be here a little and eat some chicken and play some soccer and go on. That's not why. It came here for the body to fix stuff. There was a story once that someone came to the Rebbe and asked why does God enjoy us struggling? Why? Because like why do we need to struggle all the time? So the Rebbe said he has enough angels. He brought us here so there will be a struggle like on purpose. So he said, yeah, but why? Why do we need to struggle? So the Rebbe asked him what is one of his hobbies. So the kid said drawing. So he said, okay, so the most expensive drawing, like a painting today, how much does it cost? So he said about $3 million. That at that time, that was probably Picasso, I think. I'm not sure. So he said, okay, so how? Let's say that's painter would stand by the sea and draw a few, like paint like a picture of a few kids playing on the beach. How much would that sell for? So he said about $4 million. I don't know, something like that. So he said, okay, and if someone just stood just by him and took a picture of the event, how much would that picture sell for? So he said about 25 cents. I don't know. So he said, yeah, but which one reflects the reality more? So he says, obviously the picture captures everything. So he says, so the Rebbe asked, why does the picture cost less if it's more accurate? So the kid said, well, obviously, because the painter, he took his whole soul and feelings and everything into the painting. You can feel him in the painting. So he said exactly that. Angels that have no struggles, it's exactly like taking a picture. It's not a lot. You don't, there's not, they're not invested in it. But when you have a struggle, that's when you're really inside what you do. So that's what God really wants from us. So God wants us to go down to earth and not just disconnect ourselves from everything and be these abstract people that learn the whole day long Torah. It's not. It's supposed to we're supposed to learn Torah, obviously, but it should be a portion of the day. The later portion, the rest of the day should go out on making this world better, helping people, helping this world become a better world. And especially our own body. It should be a better thing. It should be a body that aspires to be better. It should be a body with better desires. That's what our body should be. So obviously the worst thing we can do is punish the body and punish our ego and to think that you're bad and stuff. It should be like, let's see how we can fix stuff. There was once that the Rebbe Arayatz, the same Rebbe that got released on Yud Bet Yud Gimel Tammuz, that he showed his hand that the Rebbe Arashab showed him his hand and said, his father like showed him his hand and said, look at this body. For this body, so much Torah and so much mitzvahs were spilled just for us. The Torah and everything are considered a very holy thing. And when God wanted to bring the Torah to the nation of Israel, the angels came and said, look, what are you doing? Like, this is a really holy thing. Why would you give it to people with bodies and desires and nasty desires? Why? So the thing is, this is the essence of everything. This is the end goal of everything. This body is the most important thing, to make it holy. So all the principle of sometimes scaring the ego by saying that we're not going to live forever, it's just like the life insurance agent that's just trying to get the payment out. Sorry. So exactly here, we want to get from the ego the payment, which is in our terms to pray and to do better stuff and to work on ourselves and not just go and do whatever we want. But the real will of the soul is to actually make the body better, to make it a holier thing and to live way longer. And it's actually, when we come to think about it, when someone enjoys life without consequences, people who smoke a lot and drink whiskey and eat whatever they want with no diets and no thinking about stuff and no limits, die younger. That's just a fact, a medical fact. The body needs limits. So obviously not to starve the body, and it's not only about food, it's about desires and enjoyments. The more we limit ourselves, but let the body enjoy itself, it has to be like in the middle. That way, the body lives longer, enjoys life better. If someone plays soccer every day, eventually he's gonna not enjoy it as much. But if someone plays like once a week, that's something better, and that's sometimes a lot better. It happens with music. It happens with every enjoyment and desire we have in life. So what the soul wants to do is to be that life insurance agent that once in a while just lets him know, listen, our life isn't forever, so just organize your stuff so we'll be better. So that's the only part of scaring that should happen ever, and even that should be just once in a very long while. So what we are supposed to do is to make our body better, our world better, not to just reject it. It's to make it better, and from that we can come to a much better life and to a much better world, and Bezrat Hashem to Mashiach. I hope this lesson was interesting. If there are any comments or questions, I would be glad to answer down in the comments. And happy holiday.